Hello, this is Julius from Basic Financials. People at the moment are receiving their July 2020 statements of account from HMRC, and they're probably thinking, well, what's happened to my July payment on account? And it says on there that you don't have to pay until 31st of January. Now, it's a little bit confusing because normally if you're self-employed and you would normally pay on account if your tax liability is more than £1,000. You'd pay on account in January, and then January, July, and so on. But because of coronavirus, HMRC said if you are suffering because of coronavirus financially, then you don't have to pay until January. So your July one you can defer till January, and you won't be charged any interest or penalties. Now, just a recap on how all of that works, these payments on account. As I said, if you're self-employed and your tax liability is more than £1,000, you would normally pay in January and July on account. So say for the year ended 5th of April 2019, your tax liability was £1,500, you would normally pay £750 in January 2019 and £750 in July 2019. And then say you did your tax return for the year ended 5th of April 19 and your tax liability was indeed £1,500, you'd have no balancing payment and you'd be all straight because you've paid the two lots of £750. You would also, based on your tax liability for the previous year to the 5th of April 19, then be required to pay payments on account for the year ended 5th of April 2020 in January 20 and July 20 of £750 again. So normally you've probably paid your £750 in January 2020, and then you're expecting to pay in July 2020. If you've got an accountant, they probably would have written to you and told you that's what you've got to pay. But then HMRC had decided to send out statements of accounts saying that it's due in January. So it's been a little bit confusing. Now, you can delay till January, but you might want to pay in July 2020. The reason being, if for some reason you've had a reasonable year, say your accounts run up to 31st of March 2020, that was before lockdown started, so you probably had a normal year. So if you had a slightly better than usual year and your tax liability is more than £1,500, you would have a balancing payment to pay in January plus your first payment on account for the following year. So let's say 5th of April 2020, your liability is actually £2,000 instead of £1,500. You will have only paid £1,500 on account. So in January, assuming you don't pay your July instalment as requested, and they say you can pay in January, let's say you pay your £750 in January, you'll also have a balancing payment of £500 to make up for your liability being $2,000, not $1,500. So you'll be paying your £750 second payment on account in January because you've deferred it. The balancing payment of £500 for the years ended 5th of April 2020, but then you're also going to be paying £1,000, i.e. half the liability of the previous year, as your first payment on account. So all of a sudden in January 2021 you've got quite a big tax liability to pay. So you might want to pay your July 2020 payment as usual if you can afford to do so. That's just a little thing to watch out for. I thought it would be useful to let you know. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them in the box below. And if you like and subscribe as usual, and I'll see you again for another video soon. Thanks for listening.